Eagle Mountain Apostolic Resource Center. To find additional episodes of this program, as well as other content, visit eaglemountain.tv.
Everyone, welcome to Inside the Ark. My name is Chris Behnke, and I'm here with Bobby and Becky Haaby, and we're going to be digging into an amazing message that Bobby brought called The Last 7 Words of Jesus. And I'm very excited about this one as well. I'm always excited about these, but I feel like there's so much happening right now that I don't want to miss, or I don't want any of you to miss a single thing. So if you're not familiar with this, I just feel like we need to explain this. So Inside the Ark, what we're doing with this show that's available on Apple and Spotify and on Eagle Mountain TV, what we're doing with this show is we are going back in and looking at a lot of the messages that the Lord has given us, and we're digging into some of the details and the nuances and really hearing from the Lord to go a little bit deeper, because a lot of times you don't have the time to really dig into the level to do it justice on like a Sunday or just, when you're delivering the message. So these are really, really important. You'll find the link to all the messages in the show notes. So really what I would encourage you to do is whenever you're listening to these, go listen to the whole message as well. So definitely do that. So we talk about the last 7 words of Jesus. Bobby, lay it out for us.
Absolutely. Luke 23:46. There's Jesus on the cross. And he doesn't just say this like mumbling. The Bible says he says it with a loud voice, crying out. Like, what would be the last words of any person?
Yeah.
They're going to be significant, right? Mm-hmm. And so here's the last words that Jesus wants everyone to hear. Luke 23:46. And Jesus said, crying out with a loud voice, said, Father, into your hands I commit my spirit.
Yeah.
Into your hands I commit my spirit.
Wow.
And that's the boldest thing that anybody has ever said and can ever say. It's easy to take up all kinds of causes for other people and causes for great things, but to entrust or surrender your life, and literally the picture is Jesus has laid out arms open wide.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Into your hands I entrust or commit my spirit is the most courageous, bold thing.
Yeah.
There are valiant men and women who fought on battlefields from time past to time present, and great feats of courage. But I remember the Lord sharing with me, to trust your life to me is the most courageous thing you will ever do, greater than any man on any battle that you could have fought on.
Wow. So why do you feel like you pointed out a bit of his post-resurrection ministry afterward? What is the correlation between here he is, he's saying, I commit myself, my spirit into your hands, which, by the way, that is truly part of what we do when we say yes to him. And we we're covenanting with him that we trust him and we commit our spirit to him. But what was the reasoning behind bringing up his ministry? And you talked about Mary Magdalene, you talked about the road to Emmaus, you talked about the appearance behind closed doors, doubting Thomas, and the 500 witnesses that Christ was alive. What was what was the correlation? Why was that so significant after he said what he said?
Yeah. So Jesus is, when you think about his sort of post resurrection ministry, this is, again, if Paul says to redeem the time, this is Jesus redeeming the time. This is Jesus letting us know the things that are mostly on his heart. Yeah. Some of them are relational connect for the purpose of launching an ecclesia that's going to go worldwide until Jesus comes back. I mean, and so he's got a long way to go and a short time to get there.
Yeah.
And he's going to establish things right away. So yes, on Sunday of the resurrection, the day of, he's, there's that empowering and meeting Mary. And then a surprise visit to the guys on the road to Emmaus, an appearance behind closed doors after the guys on the road to Emmaus, and then doubting Thomas on Sunday a week later, and then 500 witness Christ alive between that next month. Like it was over a period of time, right? Because he had those first 40 days and then all the way up. So that was what's going to happen between the day he resurrected all the way up until the church gets launched.
There's this, so thank you for that. I feel like out of that, what I'm hearing you say is, and the point you were making is, in the death of Jesus, there was work to be done. And the first thing he did was take the keys from death, hell, and the grave.
Right.
And then here he is resurrected, and so that's what he's doing there. And then there's this resurrection. And in the resurrection, there were things he needed to do and get done because there was a plan and purpose in living in a resurrected life that he needed to be about and was supposed to be about both on earth and in heaven. And as we follow his path in his footsteps, we have been born again. We're dead to ourselves. We're being now raised up in a resurrected lifestyle as well with him, meaning we've got work to be done too. There's things that he has in living a purposeful, resurrected lifestyle that really is what Christians are. If we're a Christian, that's what we're doing. We're living a resurrected lifestyle because we've gone through that death to our old selves, our old nature. We've been born again, and now here's this resurrected life we live. And so with that, in all of that, one of the things that you mentioned, and I'm just going to quote the phrase that you said, resurrection lifestyle is about putting the resurrected King as the center of your life. So that's a difference in the different lives that we've lived. Yeah. So, cats have 9 lives. We have 2 options that we get to live as humans. And one is the life before Christ, and one is the life after Christ. But if we live the life after Christ without the resurrected King as the center of our life, it's easy to revert back to the old life livings, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So how do we keep the resurrected King as the center of our life? You're speaking to this group of people who are listening or watching online. What would you say to them are some tips?
Yeah, Bobby.
Of keeping.
What are some tips?
Well, you guys jump in. I'm just going over the things chronologically that Jesus did. So we started talking about that a minute ago, right? He appears to the guys on the road to Emmaus. He's got to bring doubting Thomas into the greatness of who he is. And if you study Thomas's life after this, mighty signs and wonders. By the historians of the day, it rocked his world. So he's not just, hey, reach the hand in, doubting Thomas. Doubting Thomas was not doubting after that.
Right.
As a matter of fact, he was mighty after that. So, Jesus is going to say, hey, I get it that you guys are struggling with this supernatural, a resurrected lifestyle. But if it's going to become a part of your lifestyle, I need to do some things. And he takes the time to challenge some of their unbelief and some of their stuff. And so these moments with doubting Thomas, or when he visits, it said that over 500 people saw him resurrected and alive. And then those standing by those 500 people literally physically saw him ascend, like bodily,
Yeah.
into the air,
Yeah.
while two men stood by in white shining apparel.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean, it's just like, gosh, there was so much that was filled with the greatest. And then after, you know, his resurrection, and Mary and the other Mary says, oh, he's gone ahead of you to Galilee. The word Galilee means revolution. So he's gone ahead of you to revolution.
Yeah.
Like,
Wow.
this is really what is happening here, and I need you to shift a mindset. But God is restoring. So how do you live a resurrection lifestyle? I would say that the first thing that makes me just thankful for Jesus is that his resurrection ministry was all about restoring our thought process. Thomas, did I not tell you? People, did I not tell you? I mean, what did he say when he jumped down into the bosom of Abraham, and all those guys have been waiting for hundreds of years? And what does resurrection lifestyle look like to them? Guys, it's finished. Everything I promised that I would do happened on planet Earth today. I am resurrected. I mean, can you imagine that sort of talk that he gave to them when he busted into Abraham's bosom? So what does the resurrection lifestyle look like? That. It is a restoration. It is God promised, and he is fulfilling it. It is putting the promises of God into your everyday life right now. You cannot live a resurrection lifestyle and have a longer list of what he hasn't done than what he has done. And that's the first thing. So restoration is the first thing. The second thing is what happened right before the ascension, and this is what I love, the Great Commission. That's what happened right before the Great Commission. All authority has been given to me, therefore go into all the world and create disciples. Like, I want you to give what I've given you. And if you're going to live a resurrection lifestyle, give away what you've been given. We've all been given talents. We've all been given greatness. But the quicker we stop using that just to build ourselves up, or our ministry or our company, and we understand that all of our talents have been given for different levels or portions or involvement in the Great Commission, we align with the greatest purpose in the planet. So there's so much to say about that. But that's what I would say. Number one, restoration. Our lives need to be about restoration if we're living a resurrected lifestyle. I love supernatural signs, wonders, and miracles, but restoration has to be at the forefront. Number two, restoring people to the Great Commission.
Man,
That's awesome.
I think it's interesting, you know, as you were talking about that, you know, it's just interesting to see how God weaves this through even in today, in the way he deals with us today. So Jesus came on a mission. He had to become the sacrifice. So sometimes, you know, you think about that and you're like, why did he have to go through all of the, like he knew all those guys were going to deny him. He knew they were going to doubt. He knew he was going to have to go, remember Peter, remember Thomas. Remember what I was saying? Like, it seems a bit inefficient. Like, why did he even go through all the work? Why didn't he just like pick the 12, die, and then say, okay, this is what just happened. Now let me teach you. And I think the reason for that is that as humans, we have to develop and experience a relationship with the Lord to be able to feel the weight of what he's teaching us. And we can't do that unless we actually have that intimacy and walk with him. And so when you're talking about the resurrection lifestyle and really these components that are necessary, you're really talking about what does it take to give the right honor to the weight of what Christ did. And the only way that we can do that is to walk through this journey with him.
Yeah.
That's why he doesn't waste any of the things that happen in our life. That's why a lot of times the most powerful testimonies come from the most difficult situations. And that's why I don't believe he causes these difficult situations. I believe we cause them plenty well on our own. But he uses those. Yeah. Like, he has so much grace. He uses what we're going through to as an opportunity, as a school almost, to take us where he wants us to go. Yeah. That can't happen really at all, really, if we don't have this resurrection lifestyle kind of understanding that you're talking about.
Yeah.
And that is the part that I think it's easy to overlook the gravity of what that means, what he did for us in that scenario.
Yeah.
So what are some, were you going to say something? What are some of the practical ways that you two keep the resurrected Jesus at the center of your life? I think it would be super helpful. I mean, I love what you guys are saying, and I hear what you're saying, and there's so much we can take from that. But how does that practically walk out in your everyday life?
Oh, you want to go practical? Gosh.
Personal, maybe? Maybe it's more personal.
Okay.
How does it personally happen?
That's awesome. And I think that's the right question. For me, when Mary and Mary went to the rolled away stone, the tomb with the rolled away stone, the gardener says, "Why are you looking for the living among the dead?" That's it for me. I have to make sure that I understand my past to live a resurrected lifestyle, like how the Lord has used everything I've gone through to now be a part of my success. Like all of the arrows that have been shot at me are now in my quiver, so to speak, and I'm using the arrows that were once like my weaknesses. They were once shot at me blame it on the devil, blame it, whatever. All of the things that I've gone through have been resurrected. Like he literally works all things together for my good. And so I have to have that mindset, because if not, I get in regret. I view the past through the wrong lens. And so for me to walk in resurrection lifestyle, it's definitely how I view the past. It is definitely, has all things, Bobby, that were dead been resurrected, or was I wasting your time?
Wow.
And so I just have to go, thank you, Lord. And then also for me, practically, I have to be full of that message. I have been accused of being eternally optimistic, I think it is. And I say, I don't know how to view the kingdom through another lens than resurrection.
Yeah.
I mean, it's got to show up in your conversations.
Yeah.
So I love that.
That's cool.
Yeah, so I think for me, similar to what you're saying, I really feel like having the right, so like the correct answer, the churchy answer is like having the appropriate mindset regarding all of the things that have happened, right? So it's very easy to go, oh, that's right, consider it all pure joy when you face trials. But to do that, you have to purpose to do that in advance. And so if I want to get really practical, what does this look like for me? It's after going through, while going through, or seeing a trial that's about to happen, because sometimes you get to see that, is in those moments, in advance of it actually happening, or kind of like the postmortem of it, purposefully saying, I'm going to look at what's happening through God's perspective, not earthly perspective. And that really comes down to two separate things. One is not letting the enemy dictate the meaning or purpose behind whatever the trial was. A lot of times, I would say most of the time, the trial occurred because we probably made a mistake, or we just live in a fallen world. Maybe we really didn't, but we live in a fallen world. So we don't want to let the enemy tell us the reason. That's like Job's buddies. Oh, well, it's because, I don't know what you did, but it must have been bad, kind of thing. Just curse God because you're kind of hosed at this point. So you can't do that. And then the second part is not letting the enemy or anyone or yourself or anyone tell you what the outcome means. Only God can tell you that. So when you're sitting there in a situation and you're like, wow, I really thought this was going to be a certain way different, if you let the enemy then tell you, well, then you must have not done this right, misstepped, or you're still in the middle of whatever difficult thing, you will almost always miss what God is doing. Because the whole purpose of that, I believe, the enemy doing that, is to distract us from what the Lord is doing. It's just like, I love the way you say this, Bobby. If we were to look at the day Jesus hung on the cross based on the situational analysis of the data at hand that moment, it would have been an utter loss. Mm-hmm. But it was actually the greatest day in history. It's just, you only know that with heaven's perspective. You don't know that from man's perspective. So if I have to make that practical, it means I literally practical. It means I get up in the morning and I say, I'm going to do that in advance because I'm in the middle of dealing with something difficult right now, or I don't really see how this particular situation that I'm in with my family is going to work well. So I, right now, today, have to look at it through this lens, because if I don't, it's almost, at least for me, almost not possible to not become cynical.
Yeah.
Because then you're just like, okay, if work together for good, okay.
Yeah.
Like, when it doesn't feel like that, the only way to look at it with God's perspective is to decide to look at it with God's perspective. And you have to do that on purpose. You don't accidentally do that. Mm-hmm. You just, that doesn't, at least not in my life, that doesn't accidentally happen. You have to decide to do that in advance. Mm-hmm. And if you don't, it's nearly impossible, at least for me, to not become cynical. Because it's just, because life's hard.
Yeah.
And I don't even have a hard life. I mean, a lot of people have really hard lives. So if they're not doing this on purpose, there's no way they're going to have the right mindset. They're not going to be able to live with this kind of lifestyle unless it's purposefully done, purposeful approach.
That is so good, Chris. That's why the last 7 words of Jesus, into your hands I commit my spirit, are important for us to say in different ways every day, as often as we think about it. Lord, you're in control. I totally get it. I can't fashion this thing. Lord, my driver is trying to make this thing happen, and I just have to trust that you're for me. It doesn't mean I don't have a part in it and partnership and all of that, but a lot of our partnership has to do with how Jesus rolled out the resurrection lifestyle between the day he was resurrected and the day he ascended. Mm-hmm. And we can learn so much from that. And how could it be that the greatest day in history has happened, and yet the guys on the road to Emmaus are fully depressed? And he goes and shows up to those guys and goes, I understand that part of my resurrection, post-resurrection ministry is to change your perspective.
Right.
Think about all of the miracles that took place. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. I mean, if you're looking at it from the natural pre-resurrection standpoint, maybe you're like, I can't believe he allowed us to be in the fire. Right. My God would have delivered me from that. Mm-hmm. Right. And the Lord's really like, God. Yeah. And the post-resurrection mindset is, dude, this miracle wouldn't have happened.
That's right. That's right.
Unless we were here. I can't believe he led us down this box canyon next to the Red Sea. What was he thinking? We have no place to go. We're trapped. And we got the enemy like hot on our tail. You know, that's the sort of the pre-resurrection mindset. But the post-resurrection mindset is, ooh, what's about to happen? And sure enough, when the sea opened up, a whole different thing happened. So a resurrection lifestyle is going, wait a minute, is this death or is this life?
By the way, in all those situations, you still have to say yes.
Yeah.
So you go right down the box canyon, no-win situation. If you don't say yes, it will end as bad as it looks like it will end.
Yeah.
You still have to say yes. And I think that's the thing, too, that I think sometimes we get this weird idea. I don't know where we get it from. It's not kingdom. That everything's just like super easy. Because God wants the best for us, we try to define what that means. But what that means is typically not what we think it means, because we don't actually have his perspective.
Yeah.
We have very, very limited perspective. And as much as we think we don't, we actually do. Thank goodness he doesn't let us get to decide these things. because
Yeah.
we'd choose all kinds of ice cream when we really needed broccoli or whatever, right? Like,
I
and we
love
wouldn't
ice
know.
cream and
Right.
cake.
And by the way, ice cream is
Yes.
from heaven.
And we're not just doing like the nesty plunge, falling backwards into a God who is not really for us.
He's our Father.
Like, he is so good.
He's our Father.
Yes.
Yes. Amen.
Exactly.
He's so good.
He is.
So with that, I feel like this is another one of those ones where this is something that we need to really take the time to fully digest this. So thank you for first of all for delivering this word from the Lord in the first place, and to that note, go in the show notes and click on it, and you have access to the entire message. It's super, super important that you really take the time to hear from the Lord through these messages. So do that. I want to let you know about that. Also, I don't know what you're listening on, but this platform, this particular TV show, Inside the Ark, is on Spotify. It's on Apple Podcasts. It's on a bunch of different podcast platforms, but it's also on Eagle Mountain TV, which you can find this program and a whole bunch of other programs if you go to eaglemountain.global. So it's eaglemountain.global, not .com, eaglemountain.global, and then there's a TV button. You can click that. You'll find all of the past episodes of Inside the Ark, as well as a whole bunch of other amazing programs, and we're adding more all the time. So check that out. It's absolutely fantastic. We also can't produce shows like this without your support. So definitely, we would really appreciate if you take time, pray into this ministry, and also support us financially.
Yes.
So on that same website, eaglemountain.global, there's a give button, and that would really, really help us. You can click on monthly. You can put a monthly gift that helps us to produce this show, many others, and everything that God is releasing through our Apostolic Resource Center right here. So thank you for that. Take a second, share this out, and we will see you guys on the next episode. See you later.